endo takes everything. I remember there was this guy now who once told me when he saw me, it was a male. Ah, you're back. I thought we said you're supposed to get a child so that this issue is over. I'm big when it comes to growth in anyone's life, both career-wise, personal-wise, and even friendship. And also, what really motivates me is just putting a smile on someone's face from whatever hassle and bustle that you're going through in life. I used to have bad cramps from 4 and it was really bad. So I used to go to the sick bay. So you're given some short ibuprofen, and also you're given what are they called, Buscopans. So it went on, but it wasn't improving. With the years, it became worse. In 2009, when I was in campus as a freshman taster, is when the cramping was becoming a little bit much. Now in Endometriosis, because I used to faint. The time that I would faint, I would vomit. It's like you're on maternity. So I remember this one time I was at home. It was on a Saturday, on a weekend, and I was crying, and I fainted and put on the stairs because of the pain. It's really insane pain. So I remember at that time, my parents were like, "Kapana, I think this is escalating. It's only fair for us to go to the hospital so we can be able to know what exactly is going on." So we went to Mata. They really didn't give us at the diagnosis. They were like, you drink medicine or get a child. And you're thinking, like 18 or 17, you expect me to get a kid now. Kids are not pills that we hope. So my mom was like, no, let's go to Aga Khan and see. So we went to Aga Khan, we saw a gyna, and at that point she really didn't give us a solution. All she said I should start to do is family planning. And my mom was like, you can start family planning as young as now. But at the back of my mind, I'm like, Mom, if this is a solution, see, you let me just run with it, because the pain that I go through, and if this is going to manage it, let me do it. Let's continue just figuring out, going to other doctors and just trying to find out how this is going to work. What happened is we moved from that doctor and we went again to Aga Khan. We were referred to that doctor. So when we went there, my mom was like, let's be honest, I don't want us to start the family planning now. It's too soon. And usually know the repercussions that usually come with family planning. So she was like, maybe you can put her on some meds so that they can be able to figure out what's going on. So I was on some medications. They did work. With endo, your system gets immune to some painkillers. So I was given some painkillers that were called Orphan at that point. So at that point in Kenya, really, endo was not so big. People didn't know what endometriosis was. So nikaendelea kukunywa madawa ya Orphan. So when I went back to school, by this year it went from 0 to 100. I remember that day I woke up and my limbs, I couldn't really move my limbs. I was swollen on both sides. So I remember my roommates were like, hey, this is insane, let's do this, let's take it to the clinic so we can be able to see what's going on. So when you're in the clinics, for them they felt like it was arthritis, because they didn't understand how can cramping make you swell. They were convenient to test arthritis and they saw it was negative. After it was so hard. I didn't even go to class. I didn't go for classes that whole week. But now at that point, so now I had to call my folks and I was like, you know what, you guys, this thing is becoming worse by the end of the day. And as much as yes, napatiwa ibuprofen and being given painkillers, Orphan is not working anymore. Because I would be dizzy, I would faint. At that time, my folks came for me at school. We had now to talk with different people, with different doctors, family doctors, so that we can be able to figure out who exactly is going to help us in this. So I remember we continued rather to kind of Aga Khan, still same medication. Now I was being given something that's called Voltaren, and which is what I use to date, because at least it helps me. But unfortunately, the downside of it is Voltaren is usually given when you're on what is it called, maternity, when you're dilating. that's when you give them those dawas. And I remember my sister when she was in maternity, when she was giving birth, she saw those medications and she was like, you usually take these meds for your pains. So as in, when you get to that point when you're pregnant, so your body is going to be already immune to this particular medication. So I was like, this is what is helping me. So yeah, so that's how we've been working on. But now when really I got the diagnosis is when I met a doctor called Dr. Chen. She was in Kijabe, she's a Chinese, and you know, for her, she's well versed. She's practiced in the US, she's practiced in India. So when she came to Kenya, a friend of mine told me about her, and she was like, you know what, she's a good gyna. She's done a lot of, seen a lot of people with endo, and I think it's only time for you to come and see her. So I went all the way to AIC Kijabe. And when I went there is when now I finally got a doctor who diagnosed what I had, and is when she told me I had endo, and is when now she gave me some new pills. I've forgotten the name of those pills that I used to take them for 28 days, and then I stopped. And then when I'm about to start my menses, I gave it a break. So that's how it was. And I continued taking the medications, and they were really nice, and they really worked out for me. I was taking that and at the same time still doing the Voltaren one. So it went well. However, she unfortunately or fortunately she left the country. So in as much as yes, I was handed over to another doctor, I usually feel like there was that gap that was left there, because she worked with me, and that's the thing I appreciated with Dr. Chen. She worked with me throughout this journey. She would call in just to find out how you're doing, how are the meds, are they taking you well, are you having any side effects. Previously, I would have cramps and then my legs would swell, but we didn't understand what were the causes. And that time she told us that at times there are endo that affects your lungs, others your limbs, so it depends on how you are. Because I used to feel like my legs would swell, like literally, and when you press, you can even see the ukificha kidole kanaingia na kakatoka. So she told us no, it's totally normal with endo. It happens like that. Utakuwa na lungs problem or breathing problem, or your limbs, or you just get swelling or backaches. It depends, and there's a different reaction to everyone. So yeah, that's how I find out about endo. In 2016, 2017 is when now I finally got the real diagnosis of what I was suffering from. Yeah. The first thing that came into my mind was, will I be able to have kids? I really love children. I'm the best auntie. Anyone can tell you that. Will the man who I will date or will the man who I will marry understand that I have endo and it can take a toll on you? And then, will I live taking medicine every single month? And at times medications don't work, you have to do injections. Those are the things that I'm managing. Before 2016 was given the thing that is actually endo, I worked at a parastatal company and they really didn't understand. When I'm in that time of the month, it's hard for me to go to work, especially the first 2 weeks. I had now to explain to these people that, okay, this is what I'm going through. I might not be able to come to the office, I might not be able to deliver because of this, and this happens like twice, depending on the cycle. There are times maybe mid-month, or at times I choose to take a whole week leave, though isinipatie shida, because it usually got me into so much trouble, because my immediate supervisor used to feel like I'm not performing, I'm always on leave on this particular time, and she was a fellow woman as I am, and I was like, my cramps are really bad, I am taking medication. I can even give you my gyna's phone number, you can be able to talk to them so you can be able to understand. But for her, she felt like, no, that's just an excuse. And also the HR at that particular point was like, we are also women, we go through these things. Why is it that our cramping is not as insane as yours? So when your fellow woman tends to ask you that, it makes you feel really bad, and you're like, you know what? I don't think like my employee, my workmates should actually know what I'm struggling with. Already I'm being judged for something that it's not my fault. So I was fired, and I remember I was so bitter. When I came back home, I just went to my room and cried, and I asked God, why would you give me such a condition and then give me a hard time with the people around me? When it comes to friendships and relationships, I've lost friends along the way because guys will not understand. There are times people want you to go for a road trip and you're not in the right state of mind. Because I usually say endo takes everything, your mind, your energy, because you're thinking, okay, now
I don't know how it's going to be this month. I don't know how next month is going to be. These guys want us to go for a road trip. I cannot be able to go because I am not feeling well. And then you see, with Endo, there are meds that you will take that will change your moods in a very weird way. So you're not stable. One minute you're all gloomy, the other minute you're happy. So for me, it even got to a point where I was like, I had to use now crazy faith. I was like, you know what, me sasa sitakunywa madawa zingine, because some things will now start making you now become, you now start going to see a psychiatrist so that you can be able to be given meds to make you be happy and all that. And you know, when you start taking those meds, it's a lifetime. You can't stop taking them. When it came to relationship, there are dudes you would go on dates with, and then you tell them, they're like, we will hack it. But the day they see it, they can't handle it. As in, they can't. Me, if there are people I usually appreciate, is my brother and my father, because they've seen what I go through. You go on dates, you tell guys, they see it, they're gone. And it got to a point where I was like, by the way, si lazima. Let me just put a break on this dating thing. Whoever is going to come, mwenye God atampatia grace, he will handle it. And then also you have to have this uncomfortable conversation of, I may not get children. There's a possibility. Because that's what the doctors tell you. It might take time, it might take 10 years. You might get the child the first year, or you might actually never get a child. But that's one thing you need to tell a guy. And most of them are not ready for that. So for the ones who've left and the ones who've run away, I understand those guys and I have no hard feelings for them. I keep friendships for a very long time. You'll find out that I really have a small circle of friends who actually know about my endo, and it's a journey that needs the right support system, because if you don't have the right support system, seriously, you can go mad or you can go insane, because it's just not an easy journey. I asked God to give me the strength to handle this thing, because you see, it takes a toll on you also emotionally, work-wise. And now where I sit as a HR practicing, I thank God, because I have given guys the room and the awareness that if you come and tell me that, me, I'm not feeling well, or you just give me a text, I will like, sawa. And the good thing is that at where I work is we have a lactation room. And for people who have crazy cramps, I just usually tell them, you just go nap there until maybe imeisha, and then you can go home. You know, every organization that I go to, that's one thing that I have to just give an awareness with. Especially the HODs, you tell them, if someone tells you they have bad cramps or they have a child who has bad cramps, I have gone through it. I know what it is to have bad cramps. Give them the moral support and give them the space. Hata kama the leave days are 21 days, we can always work around it. You can give them an off day, you know, because at the end of the day, this thing can make you not even perform, to be honest. If you have a bad working environment and then you have bad bosses, it's hard for you. But at least if you have a good working environment, you have someone who understands you, and you have a team that understands and supports you, and then be like, by the way, today so-and-so is not in the office because of this, so let me take up her meeting, or let me take up, and just go for a meeting for them and be able to just ensure that there's no gap, For instance, there are people even in the organization who will come and tell me, by the way, I have a cousin of a cousin who's going through this particular thing, because you've created that awareness. And you tell them, you know what, you can go and see this guy now, or you can go and see this, and just give them a storyline, and just be able to give them hope that with time and with age, because for me, from high school to now, it's inaenda ikichange. The process is changing. It becomes better with age. I think with age and growing older, your body changes and the mechanism of it, so it becomes better and manageable. When I'm about to be in that, probably a week or 2 weeks before, I avoid sugar. Tachan is the one who actually did a diagnosis, and she was like, you know what, meat affects you, and sugar, anything that has sugar, just avoid. So when I'm about to be on that time of the month, I avoid sugar completely. Endo is expensive, because, for instance, right now I'm taking some meds called Voltaren, and I'm supposed to take it 1 times 1, but I can't. I usually take 1 times 3, or at times, depending on how the pain is, in a day I would take 4 pills of that. And one particular tablet is 70 bob, depending. If you go to those guys who sell them at retail or wholesale, it's cheaper. But when you go to these big farms, this chemist, it's 100 bob. Most of the time I usually buy 10. There's also the fact that there are times you might take meds, but as they work, you have to go for injections. If you do not have a medical cover, it's really hard. With medical cover, at least it cushions you. There's a consultant fee, there's 3 meds that you have to take, another prescription that you've been given. So it is quite expensive. If and probably, and this is an awareness that I usually say for corporates, if you're in a position to give guys cover, give them, because medical cover helps you a lot. In as much as, yes, maybe inawezaisha within, probably as you're dealing with endo and the medications, at least it tends to cushion you when it comes to the payments and the consultants that you usually have. During this period, with endo, you usually have panic attacks and anxiety attacks, because you're seated and you're thinking to yourself, how will it be this month? And with my profession, you still have like a bunch and a multitude of employees who are looking up to you as a HR to be able to just tell them and give them the sanity and the peace that things are going to be okay. Because when COVID came, people had to work from home, companies had to restructure, guys had to be laid off. So it had, I think there were times that I would literally decide, you know what, I'm not taking calls from anyone, because here you're in the middle of a pandemic. People are really pressed on. You'll have employees who probably someone from their family have gotten the virus and all that, and then at the same time you still have to deal with endo at the end of the month. Because I remember there's a time we suspended our cover because of the financial constraints that were there. So at that time it was hard for me, because I was like, now here I am, I have this thing endo, I have to buy meds. What am I supposed to do? It wasn't so easy, because the first month I had to now go back to my pocket. But I think with the moral support of your family, because at times they had to chip in. Luckily enough, in Jan we brought back the cover. For me, it's usually meds and water. I always have to work with those meds. If I don't have them, I'd rather buy them. Hata kama nimezisahau kwa nyumba, I'd rather buy them, because anything can happen. Something can change, maybe your cycle can change, and then you have them. Anytime I'm traveling, it has to be in my backpack, because at times, even when you change of environment and climate and the weather, your body changes. So it's a must in my bag. Like everyone knows, if you have endo and you have crazy cramps, and atukwa Grace ama go to Shiro, she's gonna sort you out. For me, when it's that time of the month, I usually bloat. You'd think I'm 6 months pregnant when you see me. So there was this day we were walking from the office I was going to take a matatu, and I bumped into a friend of mine. And she's like, oh my God, you're pregnant. And she even touched my stomach, and I was like, how long are you? Unaka uko 6 months. And I was like, I just kept going, and I looked at her. And then you see that particular point, because even my feet are swollen. So everything in my body just shows this one is expectant. And I was like, no, I'm not expectant. She's like, no, you're lying. What do you mean you're not expectant? Like, look at yourself, you're big. She was insensitive, she was. And I was like, apana, no, I'm not expectant. It's just I have endo. And I left her like that. I didn't want to explain much, because I felt like, there are things that you just don't go saying. Plus also for us ladies, don't go telling people that you're fat. It takes a toll on you. So I have been told that. Also, there's the fact that I'm always told that there's someone who once told me, you're turning 30, you're still struggling with endo, so you get a child. Like, why are you not pregnant? You don't have a man. Like, people will give you insensitive things, and you want to insult them, but you just choose not to. You just keep quiet. You'll get a lot of insensitive people who will tell you insensitive things, but if you choose for it to tone you down, it will break you down. But you'll be like, for me, nimefika point here, I really don't care. Yeah, well, you will say it will. Yeah, I will feel bad, but I made a decision not to think or give room to that voice of what I have been told. So you see how now people are running for COVID vaccine. For me, it's the day that there's going to be a queue, and you'll be told that you will have now normal menses, that you won't have to go through the pain, you won't have to go through popping pills like it's a hobby. It will be the greatest achievement that I will have. And also the day that the Kenyan doctors and the Kenyan doctors fraternity in hospitals will be able to be more aware about this thing of endo, not just giving guys misdiagnosis or just giving you medications to manage it, and then it has repercussions to it. And I'm glad that there's a foundation that is talking about endo, and there are doctors who are now key when it comes to endometriosis, which is a good thing. I mean, you can't compare 2015 to right now, where we are right now. So for me, I feel like it's a growth journey and a progress that we are having as a nation. But the day that there's going to be a cure or even a vaccine for it, I'll be on the first list, or even I'll be on the first plane to wherever it's been given out. If you do not know what endo is, if you do not know what it is for someone who's having a bad cramp, don't go bringing them down and just making a comment that so and so, like other women are going through it, why is it such a big deal for you? Women out here, let's stop tearing each other down. We should support each other. In as much as maybe you do not have end or it's not insane, but you know what it is to cramp. For me, I would just tell you, support each other. You know, let's fix each other's crowns. For families and parents out there, take your kids to be checked. Let's change the stigma that has been there that I can't take my kid to go and be checked because of menses and all. It doesn't hurt for them to go for checkup, because I know for the US, as soon as they realize that you have endo in the early stages, they start to manage it as soon as possible. But you see, for us, because of the culture, later on in your 20s, in your 30s is when now you're starting to figure out what this is. So parents, wherever you are, get your children checked. And then for spouses, guys who are dating people who have endo, be their support system. It is not easy. Like at times you just want someone who, you just want to have that assurance that you have someone that is going to be there for you, who's going to walk with you, who's going to take you for those clinics, you know, who is going to be with you when you're puking in the toilet, he's holding your hair, you know, someone who's just going to be there with you, because it helps a lot. Trust me, it helps a lot when you have someone who loves you and cares about you and is aware of what you have as endo and is willing to risk, because it's a risk, you know, you might have kids or you might not have kids, so who is willing to risk and walk with you, to risk together with you. Be there for these people. It's not easy. You know, I usually say people who have endo, we're not born with the grace and the strength. Apana, with the journey that you go on with, God gives us the faith, the strength and the courage to continue going through it. So even for the guy who's out there dating someone who has endo, God has your back, and he has you. He, in his own amazing ways, he usually has a way on how to give you that strength. I just made a decision. Let me continue drinking the meds, but when it's time for me to go under, I will. But I'm not ready yet.